Hi everyone, this is Evan. I wanted to make a video about my reflection of going back into speech therapy after 3 years of not having speech therapy. So I wrote down some notes so I wouldn't forget what I wanted to say and start rambling like I usually do. So I went back to speech therapy after ending speech therapy in 12th grade. So that was approximately 3 years. I think it's interesting to note that my wants and needs have changed from when I entered speech therapy in grade school. So in America, you are able to, for the most part, you're able to have services like speech therapy from kindergarten to 12th grade. After that, you have to worry about insurance or paying it for yourself out of pocket. So for me, I couldn't really afford to pay it out of pocket, and my insurance didn't cover it. So my wants and needs have changed. More so, the top 4 things that I have noticed was that I was more serious about getting into a relationship or dating and looking for jobs, forming connections, and quote unquote adulting. So those are the 4 things that really drove me to try to find speech therapy. So how did I get into speech therapy again? So if you didn't know, I am a chapter leader for one of the National Stuttering Association chapters in the area. And I was trying to find a place to hold the meetings regularly, and I got in touch with a professor at the school that I attend. He is a speech language pathology professor, and he happens to stutter. He mentioned that he holds a clinician at my university, and it's free for students, so I thought, why not join? So a few days after I was in it, my speech language pathologist was a grad student. She was really fresh and she had great ideas. The first day that we met, she asked me what I wanted to get out of it. And this is interesting because in grade school, I never had someone ask me what I wanted. They just told me what I should do and just hope for the best. And for me, this was really refreshing and almost just unbelievable that I could really give the way that I felt and what I thought would help me and what I really wanted to work on to someone, them think about it, them form their ideas, and then give me techniques, strategies, things for me to do to help what I wanted. So I'm just gonna lay out the structure that we did every day. We met once a week for about 3 or 4 months, and the meetings were 1 hour long. So we began with a mindfulness video that we found on YouTube. The mindfulness videos were about 3 or 4 minutes long. So if you didn't know, mindfulness is when you actively think about the way that you feel and you use those emotions that you have gauged and you can express them more actively, positively in situations that are more difficult for you. So we would go through this mindfulness video, lights off, eyes closed, not talking to anyone, and we would just listen to the woman talking, and then afterward we would say how we felt, blah blah blah, and then we would jump into choral reading. Choral reading is when you have a book or an article, you read it aloud with someone else at the rate of speech that you would normally read. So let me just give you an example of how fast I read. Back after ending speech therapy in 12th grade, needs/wants are different. More serious about dating, jobs, forming connections, adulting. How did I go about that? That's the rate of speech that people would normally read. So we would do that together, and it's good to read together with someone because you can gauge how fast they are going, and then you can slow down, speed up, or so on. Then after that, we would carry the way we're speaking and the rate of speech that we are speaking at into a normal conversation. Normally, we would talk about something that I'm passionate about because in the beginning of the sessions, I told her when I'm passionate about a subject like politics, religion, animal welfare, I normally get really, really, really excited and I speak really fast and I stutter more. So we talked about those topics together and we tried to really implement the choral reading and mindfulness into that conversation. After that, we would call one of her friends or one of her coworkers. I have a real difficulty talking on the phone, and she really took that into account and she created this part of our session. So I would call one of her friends, but one of her friends would be acting as a public servant. So like someone who worked at the bank, someone who worked at a grocery store, someone who worked at the university, something like that. And I would have to ask them questions. I would have to introduce myself. After that, we would have a meeting with the person that was on the other end of the phone. For me, I believe this really like cracked a hole in the ceiling of me thinking that someone on the phone is so like authoritative and like, you know, very like scary, because then like I'm on the phone with them, it's a little scary, and then I meet them face to face and I understand that they are a person and that it shouldn't be that scary. So then after the meeting and the phone call, we would rate the meeting and the phone call from 1 to 10, 1 being dissatisfied, 10 being the most satisfied. So both of us would rate it, and then we would talk about why we gave that rating by using pros and cons. Pros is something I did really well at, so what I implemented well, and then cons would be something that I could really work on to make the phone call or meeting even better. After that, we would reflect about the entire session and then what we could do next time, so next week, and then the next week we would work on what we said. So that's pretty much how the structure went. I believe this semester was amazing. I believe I learned so much from my clinician, and I just couldn't imagine what I would be doing without this, because like I really wanted to go back to speech therapy, but I was like, I can't afford that, that's expensive, I don't even know where to go or to start, blah blah blah. And then this whole experience just like fell in my lap, and it couldn't have been better. Like, it's just so great, and I'm very thankful for my speech therapist, for the professor I talked to, for my school. I'm just thankful that I'm able to have this opportunity again, and that I can really use these strategies into my daily life as a 20-something. You know, I just want to give you guys like the like strive to be able, if you really want to do speech therapy, there are ways to like, talk to your university, talk to people in the speech pathology departments at your universities. Maybe talk to your insurance companies, just see what you can do if you really want to do it. If you don't want speech therapy, you don't have to do it. I'm just saying, for me, I feel like it's good to be able to practice, to be able to have someone there to give feedback on how I'm speaking or the rate of speech that I'm talking at. So I'll leave you with that. I will make a video whenever I can, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.